Hi, my name is Shannon Gilmore, and I'm with Third Eye Nutrition. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about fresh herbs. Now, fresh herbs are wonderful. They can make any mediocre dish into an amazing dish with just a couple chops of your knife and throwing it in. But the thing that most people don't realize about this is cilantro. That they realize about fresh herbs is that in terms of the percentage of antioxidant power to weight, bar none, there are very few plants that can compete with fresh herbs. A couple exceptions like turmeric and ginger and things like that, but on a whole, in terms of weight, you can't compete with this. This is some of the heaviest hitters in the world. In terms of the plant world. So why do we want more of this? Well, as I always say over and over again, we want to be increasing our antioxidant level to the highest that we possibly can, for the reason that we want to reduce oxidative stress and inflammation, which there's no one on this planet that probably isn't has some degree of either of those things, just because of the world we live in, the modern world we live in. So how the heck do we get more of this in our diet? Well, there's obviously the typical way of doing it, which is you put a couple, little shakes of basil or oregano in your tomato sauce and your spaghetti or things like that. But I would like to sort of encourage you to actually get more actual fresh herbs throughout all your meals throughout the day for the reason of the antioxidant level that's in it. So one of the ways that you can do that is you can actually put it in your smoothies in the mornings. I know smoothies are kind of a big thing now with collagen protein powders and whey powders, and people love their smoothies. And so you can throw like fresh basil in there. You can experiment with tarragon even. You could do mint. You can even put mint in your water and drink that throughout the day instead of like a lemon, and then obviously eat the mint at the end of the glass. But that's actually a really great way to start getting more fresh herbs in your diet. Now, one thing that I like to actually do, just because cilantro and parsley tend to be particularly cumbersome in terms of you got to wash it and separate this little piece here from the stem, and it's a little bit much when you're in a hurry. So I like to get these sort of pre-portioned frozen cubes, which usually comes in either parsley or cilantro at most grocery stores. And that's just a great way to pop them into your frittatas or stir fries. It's just people on the go that just don't have time to put more fresh herbs in their diet. That's a great way to do it. Now, when I bring all this up, obviously fresh herbs are at their highest and the best form in the summertime. And I really encourage you to do that if it's possible and it's within your financial means to do so. But one thing that's actually also popular in the summertime is grilling. And the reason why I bring these two up together is that grilling is a very popular thing to do, and it's very social and it's fun and the food tastes good. And there's very few people I know that don't like grilling. But the problem with grilling is that it sort of creates sort of undesirable compounds in the food that you really don't want to be consuming. For instance, the heterocyclic amines, the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. These are two that we've known for decades that have been associated with cancer risks. So we know about that. But the recent one that has been sort of coming up, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this next week, is something called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs for short. And what that is it's basically a compound that is created or made from grilling animal products over a dry heat. And that's been basically associated with a whole host of chronic diseases. But the biggest thing that you need to know is that it increases inflammation in your body. So I'm not suggesting that you stop grilling or stop barbecuing, because it's a beloved pastime of Americans. However, and Argentinians too. But what I am suggesting is that maybe you might want to start getting a little more of this to go with it. So how do we go about doing that? Well, and why do we go about doing that too? Well, the biggest reason why is that when these compounds are created, when you put some type of herb with it, it actually will either do two things. So either decrease the development of those compounds, so it'll really like stop it from forming, or it'll offset the oxidative stress that's now going to come into your body from eating that meat. Okay, so how do we go about doing that? Well, we can certainly do a bunch of dried herbs and do like a dry rub. which is great. So some of your heavy hitters are going to be things like rosemary and thyme and oregano. Obviously, turmeric isn't necessarily leafy plant, but it's definitely a heavy hitter in terms of decreasing those compounds. But putting some type of dry rub on it, it's a great choice. You can also do like a marinade of some kind, and particularly olive oil, because olive oil has also been shown to decrease these compounds. But any kind of fresh herbs, and then marinate the meat in it overnight and make like a nice poultice and like wrap it around with like heavy herbs. That would be an amazing way to cook your meat over the grill. And then also, believe it or not, and this, I have a very small plant outside, so they usually come in, but if you grow your own rosemary bushes, they can get quite large and they are prolific. They grow everywhere and they grow like a weed. But you can get like these big, that smells good, these big like stalks of rosemary, and you can use that as skewers instead of like the wooden sticks that you buy at the grocery store. And that is a great way to reduce some of these compounds that are being formed, as well as increase your antioxidant intake. So just a couple suggestions for you, because I think that if you can get more like chimichurri sauce, or you can get more pesto to be served with this meat, it's just a win-win-win all the way around. And you decrease these compounds being put in your body, which means you're decreasing your inflammation, your oxidative stress that's happening in your body. So that's all I have for you for this week. But one thing I should say, that sometimes it's not the easiest thing to get fresh herbs year round, and so you're going to have to resort to dry for the wintertime. And what I would say to that is just that you really want to make sure that it's organic, because the surface area is quite high on some of these herbs, and so they get heavily sprayed with both pesticides and herbicides. Okay, so you really don't want to be using all the antioxidant goodness to offset the pesticides and herbicides in this, versus what you really needed to do, which is the compounds formed from grilling. Okay, so next week we're going to talk a lot more about those advanced glycation end products, and that'll be the subject for next week. So come visit me again next Friday to discuss, and hopefully it was helpful. And I just posted a new blog on my website at thirdeyenutrition.com, and please write to me at thirdeyenutrition@gmail.com, because I actually use these questions as my subjects for all my Facebook Lives. So feel free to communicate to me and get some free advice. So hope you are well, and I will see you next weekend, or next Friday, I guess. Ciao. Have a good weekend. Bye.